An apple a day keeps the doctor away. That's a good example of a modern-day proverb, one that most of you will recognize. Now that particular one is an old Welsh proverb from the 1800s. In the early version, it sounded something like this: eat an apple before going to bed, and you'll keep the doctor from earning his bread. I like our version better. It's a lot leaner and cleaner. Now you know basically what a proverb is, but let me tell you more about their nature and function. A proverb is a truth statement in a very short form. You're going to say something significant, something relevant, but say it with very few words. The brevity of a proverb is part of what makes it interesting and memorable. For example, practice makes perfect. Ignorance is bliss. Proverbs by their nature are pithy. Pithy means they're concise, but they got a little bit of a kick to them. That's Proverbs. Now, Proverbs are typically phrased in clever ways. Many of them are poetic. For example, haste makes waste. A stitch in time saves 9. Proverbs often use colorful imagery and witty phrases. And so, for example, the early bird catches the worm. 2 wrongs don't make a right. Proverbs are typically colloquial. And by that I mean they're not highfalutin sounding. No, they sound pretty ordinary, very commonplace. They have a down-to-earth feel to them. It's like the old folks at home sitting out on the porch, just spinning tales and throwing out sayings. Proverbs typically sound like that. Every dog has its day. Or out of the frying pan and into the fire. Proverbs oftentimes are a little bit cryptic. That is, they're like a puzzle, a riddle. You got to listen closely. You got to think about it. Figure out exactly what it's talking about. Because oftentimes what you see on the surface is not the true meaning of the proverb. So, for example, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. But that's talking about a lot more than catching birds. There's something else going on in that proverb. Or, to lengthen your life, shorten your meals. Now, if you think about it, you'll figure out what you're being advised to not do, and you're not going to like it. But you get the idea of the proverb. You see, proverbs are riddles to be solved. Easy, and once you get it, you like it. In fact is, proverbs, if they're done well, can be fun to listen to. A good one can put a smile on your face. Like, for example, you can't get to the top by sitting on your bottom. Or how about this one? If everything is going your way, you're probably driving in the wrong lane. Well, that's Proverbs. Short, pithy statements that express some kind of truth. Now, the truths that are expressed in Proverbs are commonly accepted truths. By that I mean the proverb speaks as if we're all going to agree. Now, no case is being made, no evidence put forward, no reasons for this being true. It just puts it out there and assumes it's a truth that you will concede to. And that's even if you don't always practice what the proverb says. There are times you break the rule still. You'll acknowledge, but that's the way it is. Proverbs speak a commonly accepted truth. Now, if someone ever puts an expression out there and it actually turns out to be wrong, it doesn't become a proverb. It fades away. Why? Because truth always wins out. Well, there's another one of our proverbs. Yeah, proverbs which express a truth, they typically stand the course of time. Proverbs are what we could call conventional wisdom, or perhaps I should put it this way, just good old common sense. That's the nature of Proverbs. Take this as an example of an old one that we recognize and understand why it's true. A penny saved is a penny earned. Our mind understands that saving for the future is a good thing, a smart thing. Now that proverb came from Benjamin Franklin in a collection of proverbs he put together in a book called Poor Richard's Almanac. People of his day enjoyed that collection of proverbs because it spoke truth they identified with. Proverbs are a universal phenomenon. They have originated out of all cultures and out of all time periods. In fact, they go back to the most ancient of times that we have any kind of writing that's been recorded for us. And even to this day, we're still spinning out brand new proverbs all the time. Now, some of you will remember Yogi Berra from the New York Yankees. Now, he was famous for his interviews where he would spout out little statements. Oftentimes they sound kind of funny and a little bit odd, and yet they worked like proverbs. If you listen to them carefully, you realize, okay, I get it. And so, for example, one of his famous ones, it ain't over till it's over. Well, yeah, but we like that expression. We still use it today. Or maybe you'll recognize this one. Life is like a box of chocolates. Yeah, if you know Forrest Gump, you know his Proverbs. Well, that's the nature of Proverbs. Short statements of truth that are fun to listen to and think about. Now, King Solomon, he was a master of Proverbs. He took the gift of wisdom that God gave him. He used his mind to think about life, and then he packaged his wisdom in Proverbs. That was his preferred way of teaching. Likewise, Solomon collected Proverbs from all around the world, from other wise men. Now you may wonder for that, is it okay to use Proverbs that come from unbelievers, people who don't know Jehovah God? Well, actually it is, because remember this, truth is truth no matter where it comes from. That sounds like something that ought to be a proverb, right? But it is true that if something is a true statement, it doesn't really matter who says it. It's still a true statement. And thus Solomon collected Proverbs to go along with the ones that he composed and put them in his book of Proverbs. They were selected by Solomon. They were approved by Solomon. Solomon himself describes it this way, that he pondered. He searched out and set in order many Proverbs. He searched to find just the right words, and he wrote what would be upright and what would be true. The Proverbs of Solomon, whether they're his own or they come from some other culture, they were selected and approved by Solomon and written under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. Proverbs are timeless truths. A good proverb will have a feeling of being old. It's not brand new, but rather it sounds like a truth that's been around for a long time, something that's stood the test of time. Proverbs often feel like ancient wisdom now come to our modern age. They can feel like something that's been passed along from generation to generation, and I'm glad that our generation has received this truth. That's why when Proverbs are written, they're oftentimes styled as if they're advice from our elders, from those who go before us. That's how Solomon presented his Proverbs. He puts it this way, "Listen, my son, to your father's instruction, and don't forsake your mother's teaching. They're like a garland of grace on your head and a golden chain around your neck." That's the feel of Proverbs. Someone before me has passed along these truths for today. Proverbs by their nature are practical truths. They typically don't teach doctrine and theology and philosophy. That's not their purpose. Proverbs typically teach practical living, how to live and live well in the eyes of God. And so Proverbs imply a call to action. They describe what a wise man does versus what a fool does. And the implication is if you want to be a wise person, then you'll do what this proverb says. You ignore this proverb and you'll be a fool. Proverbs also promise. They promise to deliver wisdom to those who will take them to heart. That's how Solomon begins the book of Proverbs. He says, this is the Proverbs of Solomon, the king of Israel. And with them you can gain wisdom and instruction. You can learn prudent behavior. You can learn how to do what is right, what is just, what is fair. These Proverbs will teach prudence to the simple-minded. They will give discretion to our children. So let those of you who are wise listen and add to your learning. Let those who are discerning receive guidance from these Proverbs. That's the nature of Proverbs. Now I'm suggesting to you that you would do well to have a proverb each day, which is what this study that we're doing is going to offer to you, a proverb each day. Now to me that sounds like a great idea, because a proverb may be short and pithy and to the point, but if you unfold it and think about it, it offers a lot to think about, a lot of applications to our life. Now, which proverb do you study? Well, whichever one you want. When Solomon put them together in his book of Proverbs, he didn't put them in any kind of systematic order. There's no thematic flow. It's just a random assortment of proverbs just sitting there waiting for you. We might say it's like a box of chocolate. And all you got to do is just reach in and grab one and pull it out and just enjoy that one. Whatever's there, it's going to offer you something good, a word of wisdom. I think that's a good thing for us. I think each day, if we were to take one of the Proverbs of Solomon and understand what it means, well, I think we'd grow just a little bit wiser. So I want you to remember this. A proverb a day keeps the stupid away.